By definition, you can improve on something that's already perfect. When Soul Calibur was released for the Dreamcast back in 1999, many believed that it was basically the single greatest fighting game ever produced, and in hindsight, it certainly is one of the best. It's a game that still holds up very well today. Considering Soul Calibur 2 has that to live up to, maybe it's no surprise that Namco didn't take too many risks with this sequel. It's a game that is, in many ways, very similar to its predecessor, in most ways, in fact. Most of the characters are the same, and even many of the new characters are just replacements for some of the old ones. But the gameplay is pretty timeless. It still holds up just as well as before, making Soul Calibur 2 a truly great fighting game for every system it's available on. The biggest difference between Soul Calibur 2 and its predecessor is purely cosmetic, though even the cosmetic differences aren't too drastic. The game certainly looks superb on all three platforms. The characters are all highly detailed and have these very ornate outfits and such, and the background scenery looks great and everything. In fact, unless you have a high-definition television, you probably couldn't easily tell the difference between the three versions of the game, though if you do have a home theater setup, the Xbox version is going to be the one you want to get. It features 720p HDTV support, though the other two versions do have progressive scan, and you could run the game in widescreen if you've got a nice television set and get your surround sound going, so Soul Calibur 2 can offer you a pretty impressive experience just from a presentational aesthetic standpoint. Besides that, though, the game reintroduces many of the same characters whom you probably saw in Soul Calibur or that game's predecessor, Soul Blade, aka Soul Edge. Other than the fresh coat of paint, though, Soul Calibur 2 recycles many of the animations, most of the moves and such, from the previous game, so it does look similar. It plays similarly as well. The gameplay is more or less intact. There's kind of a two-tiered rock, paper, scissors style of system here, which gives the game a very fast pacing and a lot of tactical depth, really. Basically, not only do you have your high, middle, and low attacks, but you also have vertical slashes and horizontal slashes and the ability to move side to side. So, although a vertical slash is going to out-prioritize a horizontal slash most of the time, an opponent who sees the vertical slash coming can move side to side to avoid it and then counter you. However, the horizontal slash is going to tag the guy trying to move to the side, so the game's got some pretty interesting inter-character balance going there. It's also been well publicized that each console version of the game has its own exclusive character. On the PlayStation 2, you have Tekken's resident karate master Heihachi. On the Xbox, you have Todd McFarlane's comic book anti-hero Spawn. And on the Gamecube, you have none other than Nintendo's own Link. These characters, while they don't fit in well at all with the rest of the cast, in fact, they look like they come from completely different games, because for the most part they do. They do fit in well in terms of having plenty of their own unique moves, and they're pretty competitive each in their own right. So if you were worried that these exclusive characters were just going to be kind of window dressing, palette swapped versions of some of the other characters, then you'll be glad to know that they're actually original characters each in their own right. Another new fighter has exclusively been added to each of the console versions, and that's Nekrid, another Todd McFarlane creation. But Nekrid kind of looks like this big spiny monster, and he's really fits in even less so than the exclusive characters. He just doesn't look like he belongs in this game. So once you take all this together, Soul Calibur 2's cast of characters seems like a bit of a mishmash. It lacks the kind of cohesive style that was in Soul Calibur 1's cast. Still, you've got about 20 different and interesting fighters in all, and that makes for plenty of variety. There's more variety to be found in the Weapon Master mode, which is kind of the main single-player mode in Soul Calibur 2. It's identical across each of the three versions. It's basically the same as the equivalent mode in Soul Edge in that as you accomplish various missions, you can gain access to new weapons for your character, which might have their own unique properties. For example, some might hit harder while making you more susceptible to damage, things like that. These aren't drastically different weapons. Your character will still have all the same moves and everything, so they're mostly just a visual replacement along with some kind of alternate properties, so it doesn't drastically change the way your character is going to play or anything like that. Other than that, Soul Calibur 2 has your standard assortment of fighting game modes to it. There's your versus mode and your arcade mode and your survival mode and your time attack mode, all that kind of stuff. The computer AI is pretty good. It's pretty smart in some situations. For example, it knows when it's running the risk of getting knocked out of the ring and is going to try to turn the tables on you if you back it against a wall. At other times, you'll probably find some tricks that you can use to beat it down, although at the higher levels of difficulty, you should be prepared for a pretty serious challenge from this opponent. Still, like any good fighting game, Soul Calibur 2 is at its best when you're playing it against someone of similar skill. As a two-player game, it's still just a ton of fun, much like Soul Calibur was, though you might regret that there's no kind of online play here. I feel as though online play would have been the feature that made Soul Calibur 2 achieve the same status as its predecessor, the same kind of revolutionary status that its predecessor gained. Without online play, Soul Calibur 2 seems like a good revamp of the previous game. In the end, Soul Calibur 2 isn't a revolutionary game, but who cares? It's still a great fighting game with a lot of cool characters in it, and it's got some cool extra features in there, and fortunately they included a Japanese language track as an option, since a lot of the English voice acting actually isn't very good. But it's still just a ton of fun. So if you've got some friends around who are willing to play it with you, by all means go for it. And if you're a Gamecube or a Xbox owner in particular, then rest assured you'll be getting what's easily the best fighting game available for your system.